Now, even though we've just been banging on about templates and we've created a few templates for lots of different situations, there's going to be points in time when you're using Oxygen and you don't need to create another template. Now we have our standard inside template where we can create Gutenberg content, and we're going to be looking at that later. But what happens when you want to actually create something in Oxygen and take over the page and do some cool stuff with it? Well, you can actually use a template, create a new page, and then take over the actual design elements and the layout in Oxygen still. But you just have to work within that layout. And that's why we created that blank template. So in this lesson, I'm just going to show you what happens. I'm not going to create anything that we're going to use, so you don't need to follow along. Just sit back and relax, and I'll explain the situations and what's going on. So let's have a look at what happens when we don't use a template and we want to override it with Oxygen. All right, let's get stuck into it. So here we are in WordPress in the pages area. And what we're going to do is create a new page and then take over that page in Oxygen. So we're going to actually start to overwrite the Gutenberg content that we put in. So let's first make a page. And these are really just examples. So I'm just going to call this thin example, and I'm not going to keep this page. It's really just to show you what's going on. So I'm going to put some Gutenberg content in, and I'll make sure I've got our header image in there. So one of these header images, select, and I'm going to publish this page. So now that that's published, I can open this up in a new window, and we can see that that's working just like a standard inside page. We can put different stuff here in Gutenberg, like 2 columns or whatever, or add an image like you know how to do in Gutenberg. If you wanted to do something different with Oxygen, what you can actually do is click Edit with Oxygen. This will actually load Oxygen for us and take us into that familiar editor. So now that that's loaded, you can see that we're in this situation like we were before with that new template that we've got. We've essentially got this area where we can create our own content. So we could put anything that we wanted here. We could use our reusable parts, for example. You could put in stuff from the basic stuff like columns and headings, just anything you want. So this is my heading. You can put in another section, give that a background color, and start to do anything you want with this. And again, put in some text, make this white. Now if we click save and we go back to our page and refresh this, it's actually taken our content from Gutenberg away. It's actually replaced that with what we've got in Oxygen. So what you can do is, well, create another section here. So just go to basics, add section, and then in here we can add and put in our WordPress dynamic data content. And you'll see that's actually grabbing now that content that we had from the Gutenberg editor. So if we click save and refresh, you'll see that on our front end. So this is stuff that we put in with Oxygen, and then this is the content that we got from Gutenberg. Now the content doesn't always need to come after the Oxygen stuff. We can go into Oxygen and move this stuff around and say put this after as a call to action or anything you want. So you can mix up Oxygen content and then Gutenberg content all over the place. So I'm going to click save and refresh. See, there we go. Now what I want to do quickly is go back to the WordPress front end, go into pages again, and with that page that we just created, we can have a look at what happens when we change the template. So we were on that inside standard, which has a limitation where the inner content is already within a section. So if we chose to make this load our standard blank template, for example, and click update, you can see with this page now, if we refresh it, that what we're seeing is the page with everything full width. Now we're missing that heading, and that's because that template doesn't actually have a heading. So what we can do here is go edit with Oxygen. And now that that's loaded, we could go in here and say add a section, pull this to the top, give it a background color, and make this our heading. You can put an image or whatever you want in there. You know the drill. Now if we click save with this, you'll see what's going on is that this stuff here is now going full width, whereas before it was going to I guess a fixed width. And that's because, as I said before, in this template, our inner content is actually full width, and in our other template, it was inside a section like this. So if this our heading wants to be in a section, we could click a section and drag the heading into the section. And now we've got this lining up like you want. Click save, refresh. And this is a good way to be able to have some text that goes full width or some features that go full width. Now in this situation, what I would be doing is creating a reusable part for something like a header, so you can create these nice and easy. But it does show you that you don't need to create a template all the time to make new pages that utilize the Oxygen builder. There you go. Did you know about that sneaky trick? Some people will go and create content directly in Oxygen when they use a page and not use any templates at all. But this way, using templates and then combining that technique where you take over the template and add some more content, it gives you that flexibility with your layout to do more with it, including animations and stuff that you would do inside Oxygen without making 1,000,001 templates. So it's a really cool little sneaky trick. Now, you did see that we were using Gutenberg, and we are going to look at creating custom Gutenberg blocks in a later module, which is again another great technique for creating a way of working that gives you a lot of flexibility. But anyway, that is it for this module. Hopefully you learned a lot. It was a lot to go through, and you've done a great job. So mark this one as complete, and I'll see you in the next module.